Welcome, everyone, to the next installment of the Art and Business of Broadway. So glad you could be with us. I am Ken Novice, president of Dallas Summer Musicals. It's good to see so many friends and subscribers and donors. Great to see you, Bob. And we're going to have a great night tonight. Excited that you're here. My assumption tonight is that you are here because Broadway means as much to you as it does to all of us at DSM. So thank you for that. And I want you to know that our board of directors and our staff really appreciate the fact that you participate in these events and that you're loyal to our organization. And more than anything, we look forward to continuing to bring the best of Broadway to you and to Dallas. I'll just share that we've got some neat special guests for you tonight. You won't have to listen to me talk the whole time, although it's fun for me. I'm sure it's nice to mix it up a little bit. I know that there have been, and you know that there have been a lot of changes, and I'm sure that many of you have questions about those. I've seen them coming through to me directly and to staff and what have you. So today we're going to spend some time to review the changes that we've made so far, to share with you a little bit about why these changes are happening, and to answer some of your questions. So as you all know, since mid-March, all live events essentially have had to stop. It's taken a significant toll on all the people who work behind the scenes, all the people who work on our stages, backstage, our actors, our staff. And even beyond that, DSM generates an estimated $60 million in economic impact annually. So that affects our restaurants, our other area businesses that people go to, people like our parking staff and what have you have been negatively affected by this. And it's really been a hardship on a lot of folks. So I thought I'd start with a snapshot of where we are from a programming standpoint, including the changes that we just announced. You probably saw either in the paper. Michael Granberry interviewed me a few days ago, and that came out in the paper recently. And I'm hoping that you received our email that outlined all of the programming changes that we made as a result of the pandemic in Dallas. But not only that, what's happening in the Broadway industry overall. So as you can see on the graphic there, much of our 2021 season is in the category of to be rescheduled. The good news is we've already found new dates for Jersey Boys in the fall of 2021. Some less than great news is yesterday we declared To Kill a Mockingbird as canceled. You now have the opportunity to donate the value of your tickets back to DSM, to keep the value on account with DSM, or just to request a refund. So however you'd like to handle that. However, I'm happy to share that there's a silver lining. To Kill a Mockingbird, which was a project that I'm super excited about. I feel very confident now that we will be able to make a place for that show in a future season. So pleased to share that with you tonight. And actually that goes for many of the shows as well. The rest of the shows that you see on the list there, we're in the process now of finding new dates to bring all of these to you here as soon as we can. We don't expect any of those shows to just disappear off of our calendar. So from all of us at DSM, we just want to offer you a sincere thank you for your patience, for sticking with us as we work through the process of bringing these shows back to town. It's been inspiring, honestly, to see how everyone has stuck with us through this period, and it keeps us all going. Okay, so time to bring someone else into the picture to talk with you. I'm thrilled that we have some great folks lined up to give you a peek behind the curtain and share some details with you. You know, moving these massive shows around North America is a complex jigsaw puzzle. So tonight we're going to try to pull back the curtain in hopes of helping you understand some of the challenges we face in getting these shows back on the road. You know, behind the scenes, our shows are dependent upon producers to provide for the capitalization, hire the creative teams, they ensure that our shows get produced. And we thought it would be helpful and frankly, a lot of fun to hear directly from a producer about the challenges that she faces in getting tours back on the road. So here to share some insights from the producer's perspective is a friend and an incomparable Broadway producer, Sue Frost, the Tony Award-winning producer of Come From Away and Memphis.
Hi, I'm Sue Frost, and I'm the producer of the musical Come From Away. I'm here to tell you a little bit about the challenges we producers are facing as we look toward bringing our shows back to the road. The most important thing for us right now is, of course, health and safety of our company and of the audience. To talk a little bit about the challenges we have keeping our company safe, my show, Come From Away, is a relatively small show, which means we travel with about 60 people. And that means we have to think about their safety as we move from city to city, whether we're on an airplane or whether we're on a bus. We have to think about moving in and out of hotels. What are those hotels like? Do they have safety protocols? Are they cleaned regularly? We're working with the unions who are very concerned about their members and making sure that when they come back, they're in a safe environment. And then when we're at the theater, we're backstage together, we're in dressing rooms together, we're interacting with your local crews. Some of our orchestras are interacting with local musicians in a crowded orchestra pit. How do we protect everyone? So all of those things are things that we think about and we're working on and trying to develop a plan so that when we do come back, we can stay back and we can keep everybody performing. Remounting our show is going to present its own set of challenges, but nothing like the challenges that a brand new show is going to face, because not only do they have to put a show up from scratch and cast it and rehearse it and costume it and build the scenery, all of that has to happen in a safe environment, in an environment where people are protected and where we know that the end result is going to be realized in a timely fashion. It's a lot to think about, but think about all of these tours as their own worlds, and they travel around from place to place with truckloads of scenery and costumes and props, and all of the actors and stage managers and company managers and band and crew, and all of those little pieces that have to go back together again. And we have to know that the scenery's running smoothly, the costumes still fit, and the lights and the sound equipment are still working. One of the reasons it's going to take us a while to come back is we need to come back to full houses. The experience of sharing a Broadway show between the actor and the audience is unique and special. And socially distanced audiences are not going to create anywhere near the same feeling that a house full of people laughing, crying, clapping does. It is also not possible for us to make this work financially. We need to know that we can accommodate all of the subscribers in the week that we're in town. We need to know that we can meet our financial model and what it takes for us to travel from town to town, what it takes for us to present the show. That financial model requires full houses. But mostly it is that relationship between our actors, between our performers and you, and the energy that, that you both feed off of creates that unique experience, which is a Broadway show. But we're gonna get there. Don't you worry, we're gonna get there.
Well, Sue mentioned a whole lot of factors that impact the producer's ability to get a show on the road. There's just so much that goes into it. Traveling from city to city, the cast and the crew traveling by bus, by plane, getting the sets and the costumes and the props all on tractor trailers and moving them around. And depending on the size of the show, I mean, she talked about 60 people, which she said is a small show. Seems like a lot to me. But the producer needs, 30, 40 weeks with 8 performances each week in order to just break even for the costs of touring a show. And that cost can run into the millions of dollars. A real challenge with the shows is that they need to run 30 to 40 weeks across cities in a contiguous tour that makes sense geographically. So putting that all together is a big jigsaw puzzle. And the entire industry recently has been working on that tirelessly. to reroute 40 or so Broadway shows that tour the US and Canada. So I have another terrific theater professional here to tell you a little bit more about the process. Meredith Blair, who is the president of one of Broadway's top booking agencies, the Booking Group.
Hi, my name is Meredith Blair. I'm the president of the Booking Group, and I represent the national tours of Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen, Come From Away, Mean Girls, the Book of Mormon, To Kill a Mockingbird, and many others. And I'm here to talk to you about the process of booking a tour. So to start with the basics, in order to get a show from point A to point B, you have to determine the size of the show, which determines how quickly you can travel. One of our objectives is to open in a given city on a Tuesday and close on a Sunday. Needless to say, some markets are closer to each other than others. Shows travel anywhere from a 3 to a 4 truck show to 25 to 30 trucks. Those are the big blockbusters. Generally speaking, most touring shows travel in anywhere from 5 to 8 trucks. The challenges of routing a tour are the availability of the venues. So if I'm starting in Buffalo, the next logical thing would be to go to Rochester or to go to Cleveland, but the venue that I need to go to next may not be available because they've got another show then, or the symphony is in the venue then, or there's a graduation, or there's any number of things or other commitments that the venue may have that don't make it available. So one of the challenges now in the current climate in booking a contiguous tour is that we don't necessarily have any consistency in what states are open when. So if I'm trying to get a show across the country, I need to know that I can get from Ohio to Iowa and that the states in between are open for business. But that's one of the many challenges that we're all trying to face in many different walks of life, not just in the theater business. The process has changed a little bit for us. No, it's changed a great deal for us over the past several months, having to deal with the shutdowns across the nation. So we are actively trying to put the pieces of the puzzle back together multiple times as the landscape keeps changing and as the timing keeps changing and as we continue, unfortunately, to live in a world where we don't have all the answers yet. So we're dealing with that reality and we're booking and we're rebooking and we will continue to rebook until we can get these shows back on the road and back to your cities. That's the goal.
But Meredith is just terrific, and we're just so lucky to have people like that in this industry that we can work with and can help us to try to get our shows back on the road. She's amazing, and I appreciate her spending some time with us. You're probably aware that we have a long-term partnership with a company called Broadway Across America. If you don't know that, Broadway Across America, lovingly known as BAA in the industry, is the single most influential and the largest company in touring Broadway in the business. They operate in over 40 markets from Canada to the US and to Mexico. And they are a key part of DSM's resurgence in recent years. And we're really proud to be with them. And I'm very happy that we have some words from Lauren Reed, who is BAA's Chief Operating Officer. Let's hear from Lauren.
Hello, I'm Lauren Reed. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the John Gore Organization, whose companies include Broadway Across America and Broadway Across Canada. We bring touring Broadway shows to 47 cities across North America, just like yours. In addition to working for the John Gore Organization, I also serve on the Board of Governors of the Broadway League and am chair-elect of that organization. I think serving in both of these capacities gives me a great perspective in what's happening, not just around the country, but also in New York. So I want to give you a little bit more detail or insight, maybe behind the scenes look or information as to why touring theater is so complex. The logistics are complicated even in a good year. We work on shows and bringing shows to audiences usually about 18 months to 2 years in advance. That's how much work and planning and time goes into this. And it's because the shows are big. We have cast and crew and musicians that number 60 to sometimes 100 people traveling across the country. And coordinating that detail along with the 6 to 20 18-wheelers and all of the sets and costumes that are inside of them is challenging. and they need to travel in a geographically smart way. That means we can't jump from Pittsburgh all the way to Phoenix in 1 week time. We need a smart city by city, week by week traveling schedule and itinerary so that we can open on a Tuesday and close on a Sunday in any given city. And there's one more nuance that not everybody thinks about, and that's the calendar of the creative team. When shows are mounted, we need the actual director from New York to make sure that the cast and crew are rehearsed, actually selected and rehearsed. And we want the choreographer from New York to actually work with those casts to get the show up and on its feet. So those creative teams are awfully busy working on other shows. And in some instances, like in the instance of To Kill a Mockingbird, for example, which just had an incredible run on Broadway and continues to look towards other cities and countries, they're going to launch a touring company here in the US, and they're also going to launch a company in the West End. So we've got to coordinate the director, Bartlett Sher's calendar with those different tours and companies, both here and in other countries. It's a giant jigsaw puzzle, and we have to put all of those pieces together to make it fit. And that's what we're doing in New York. The producers, the booking agents, and the promoters and the theaters around the country to reorganize and assemble that to bring shows back to our theaters. You know, I know historically we all recognize that in hard times, something good comes from it. And what I can see and tell you right now and share is there is a lot of great work being developed right now in people's homes and studios. And I believe that the work is going to flourish. So once we actually play through these shows and bring them to you, there's a whole new set of shows that I'm excited to bring that are just waiting to be brought to stage. Some that were already in the works that I've seen in studio that I'm excited about are MJ, the Michael Jackson musical, using his music and based a little bit on his story, sensational performances, and bringing that actually from the studio to the stage, I think will be an exciting moment for us. In addition, I really look forward to Almost Famous, which I've seen a workshop of, and it's a tremendous take, live version of the movie with great music behind it. And also one kind of behind the scenes, I know they're working on a fan favorite that I think will be a big success, might be Princess Bride. So all three of those are in development and certainly in the making to bring. All right, as a fellow Texan, I want to give you a big shout out in Dallas and say thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sticking with us during this fluid season and for being as flexible as you have been. We're going to continue to be transparent and work hard here in New York to make sure we bring you the shows that you want to see just as soon as we can. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Wow, that was great hearing from Lauren. She's amazing, and I loved when she throws out show titles. It's like a little Christmas present when you start thinking about Almost Famous or The Princess Bride. I actually used the phrase "Anyone want a peanut?" in a meeting earlier today, and everybody laughed. I'm like, not everybody knows The Princess Bride. It's a lot of fun. Well, now that we've sort of talked about things on a national level, I thought it would be good to share with you a bit about what we're doing here at DSM to return to Broadway. And our focus here has been, as we've heard all along so far tonight, safety. We're putting into place quite a few changes at the Music Hall to ensure safety of our subscribers, our artists, our staff, our volunteers. And from the feedback I've received, I know that the number one concern that's on everyone's mind right now is health and safety. So I can share with you that DSM's been working directly with healthcare experts to guide our plans for reopening. Nationally, we're following the guidance of Harvard University's Dr. Joseph Allen. He's one of the country's leading experts in what's called healthy buildings. And he did this for years before COVID, and now obviously is very involved in creating healthy buildings post-COVID. And we're also being advised by Dr. Eduardo Sanchez, who lives here in Dallas. He's an advisor to the CDC He's the chief medical officer for the American Heart Association, and he also leads their COVID-19 response team. And it's been just wonderful to have health experts come to the table to help us figure out the best way to do this. One of the things that really struck me about Dr. Sanchez is he said he considers theater to be an essential service. And when he said that and talked about why, the impact on education, the impact on our social well-being, it was really striking. A remarkable man, and we're glad to have him with us. We also hired an industrial hygienist. I didn't even know that title existed before all of this happened. We've been collaborating with the hygienist on a plan to make your experience at the music hall as safe as possible. Lots of changes there. And I thought I would invite our enormously talented general manager, Joseph Yoshitomi, to tell you a bit more about what we're doing in this area. So Joseph, take it away.
Hi, thanks, Ken. Yeah, I think I drew the short straw going after Lauren Reed to present. So hopefully she can tease you with show titles, and I can tease you with a couple of pictures of the building and some of the improvements we've made of late. So yeah, we've known from the start that an important part of this larger puzzle, is the word we keep saying, is going to be improving the safety and security and the utility of the building that's going to host Broadway's return to Dallas. And recognizing that nearly everyone on this call hasn't seen at least the inside of the building since March, I have a bit of an update on some of our expedited and in many cases completed projects that we've undertaken in these prior months to help improve our nearly 100-year-old building. Before we get into it, I want to thank the City of Dallas, especially for their support in this, and also Fair Park First, Spectra, and the Dallas Historical Commission that have all remained great partners in helping us get a lot of these projects done. So some of the municipally funded improvements came, bond-funded improvements came at the start. Many of you on the call will probably know that they started with Hamilton. We installed that new elevator sort of in the center portion of our lobby. That was a vast improvement from the elevator that had been used before. And there was some exterior lighting that got added to it, and also some carpet that you might have seen if you were joined us for Dear Evan Hansen or for those early performances of Come From Away. But beyond that, we now have new carpet and new aisleway lighting throughout the interior of the auditorium. So you can see some photos of that there. We've also repaired the domes, which you can see them now that they were part of the exterior lighting plan. There's those have been returned to their historic glory. Those are a little bit harder to see. What I'm quite happy about is that the sort of buckets that we used to have in a couple of areas where the roof was leaking, we're not anticipating needing to have those out anymore, which is quite a joy. And then something that's been very important for me personally and for a lot of us here at DSM, the city, as the most recent improvement that they've made, has added ADA push button doors on both sides of the main east entrance, the sort of box office lobby area, and then also one on the Perry Avenue Street or Dart Stop side in the west lobby entrance. So I'm quite pleased at that. So those are some of the recent improvements that you can sort of see. There have been a number that have been more internal inside the walls in the offices and things like that, which I'll skip. As that work continued, we knew that we were going to be we've been hatching a number of plans for everyone's safe return. That's artists, stagehands. We've heard a number of people chat about that already on this call. Artists, stagehands, vendors, employees, and of course, all of us, the fans and just general ticket holders wanting to come back into the music hall and enjoy the art we present. So that first slide here, or the next slide here, you'll see is just a screenshot of our initial report from Braun Enertech. That's the industrial hygienist that Ken mentioned. And then we've been analyzing and going through and pulling out relevant portions of a number of reopening documents. I have a brief list here: state and local orders, national guidelines and recommendation, the Performing Arts Center Consortium, the Event Safety Alliance, SAG-AFTRA standards, IATSE standards, approved per show plans from Actors Equity, plans from similar theaters and aligned industries, our partners and vendors on plans who operate in and around the building, theater support organizations, and of course our own internal documents and commissioned reports. All that to say, this is all done to plan for our shared eventual safe return, not only to make sure that we're meeting all of the regulatory and legal standards we have to meet, but to go well above and beyond that to ensure that there's an extraordinary experience and an extraordinarily safe experience for all of us going into the music hall as we emerge from this. So the situation continues to evolve, but I know there's a few things that are definitely going to be done or have already been done. Upgraded air filtration systems. We've upgraded to MERV 13 filters throughout the building. Increased sanitizing of high-touch areas throughout the venue. New initiatives and hardware and policies and procedures in ticketing, security, and concessions that should provide a touchless experience. Wearing masks within the venue. We're following closely developments with rapid testing, which we think will play a role both in our welcoming guests back of house and also, of course, to our front doors, our general ticket holders. And as soon as we have an approved plan, we're going to be clearly communicating all the details of that well in advance so everyone knows what to expect so that everyone stays safe. That's sort of the end of my slideshow. Last thing before I pass it back to Ken, I want to note that we were able to coordinate a lot of these city-funded projects and these initial safety plans in large part thanks to the payroll protection program. I'm particularly appreciative of that funding for our organization and also for some of our sibling organizations across the state, city, and country. And I think for a little bit more on that advocacy work, I'll pass it back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Joseph. As you can see, a lot of changes at the Music Hall, a lot of really good things. I had a sort of a dream of the Music Hall when I first got here, of having the building, the beautiful building, lit up in the evening. So when you drove by on the freeway, you could see it, and you could see our big poster on the way there. And it just was sad to me when I got here that the building was dark at night and no one knew it was there. So thanks to the city, we got new lighting, we got the building cleaned up, and that's a really neat thing for us. So in addition to all of that, there's other work that's been going on. For the past 6 months or so, I've been serving on the Broadway League's legislative committee. For those of you who don't know, the Broadway League is the #1 professional support organization for the Broadway industry. I've also been serving on Broadway Across America's Reopen Texas committee. They have several theaters here in Texas to support our industry with government relations. So the majority of this work has been focused on the bipartisan relief and stimulus bill that was sponsored by Senator Cornyn of Texas and Senator Klobuchar. It's called the Save Our Stages Act. The bill was put together to provide $10 billion in small business administrative grants to support live performing arts and entertainment venues. So it touches on our music venues in Texas as well as the theaters. The bill was introduced to provide immediate relief to the hardest hit and most vulnerable businesses, including Broadway. There's challenges to it. The Senate has not yet voted on Heroes 2, which includes the SOS Act. So we'll wait and see how all of that goes. But our committee believes that it's unlikely that the SOS funding will happen, or the relief measure will happen without the passing of a much larger stimulus bill. So we are paying close attention to that and working and communicating with our lawmakers to make sure that our story is told and they understand the challenges that we face and the challenges that our artists face and that our crews and folks who depend on the theater for their livelihood, as well as those of us that go because it's important to us in our lives as well. So before I get to some of the questions, because I ask our Director of Education and Community Partnerships to share with you just a few of the programs and activities that DSM has been undertaking since the pandemic struck in March. While our stages have been dark, we've been extremely busy around the music hall. Other ways to fulfill our mission and spread the spirit of Broadway throughout our community, especially our South Dallas and our Fair Park communities, who have historically been underserved in regards to both social services and arts access. So Devon, take it away. Let's hear from you.
Thanks, Ken. So hi, everyone. My name is Devon Miller, and I have the really great pleasure of serving as DSM's Director of Education and Community Partnerships. And as Ken mentioned, while Broadway stages and our stages may be dark right now, this light that is the spirit of Broadway is very much shining bright. And that's really our primary mission, is to ensure that that spirit of Broadway continues on in our communities. So happy to share just a bit of what we've been doing since the pandemic hit and what we'll continue to keep doing even when our stages are lit back up. So first and foremost, just thought it'd be nice to share with you kind of what our main mission here in the Education and Community Partnerships Department is, and that's really to serve the community by providing arts-driven, equitable programs that are influenced by the spirit of Broadway. And again, we believe that the term spirit of Broadway is so important, especially now that we see our stages being darkened by this pandemic, and carrying that spirit along with us, even though there might not be shows on our stage, because the spirit of Broadway transfers so much further than what you all might see on stage. It goes backstage, goes into what producers are doing, as you heard earlier, our backstage technicians, our unions, our musicians, and our primary goal is to ensure that our students and our audiences are all aware of that, and we provide meaningful education and engagement programs for them to continue to engage with that spirit of Broadway while our stages may remain dark. So we do this through 4 different main buckets of programming. The first one being what we call Community Spotlight, which encompasses all of our community-based programs that aren't K through 12 in classroom programs. So these are things like our volunteer program called DSM Cares, which I'll touch on in just a little bit. Our partnership with the Dallas Public Libraries and the State Fair to do movie screenings of certain movie musicals, and any other kind of major partnership that we may have out in the community. The second big core program we have is called 212 Degrees Connect, which is a unique name in itself because 212 degrees is the convenient temperature in which water turns into steam, but also 212 is the area code of Broadway. So 212 Degrees Connect is all about bringing that A back into STEM and ensuring that our students have a well-rounded education when it comes to infusing the arts back into STEM-based education, because we know that when students engage with the arts at an early age, they are more likely to graduate, more likely to go on to college, more likely to pass standardized tests, and really just have those skills needed for the 21st century workforce. So that's all about what that core program strives to do. Our third main bucket of program is called Connect Ticks, which is our ticket access program, providing free and reduced price tickets to our education and community partners. And not only do we provide those tickets to our shows, we also provide opportunities for individuals or groups who get those tickets. So that might be a pre or post-show talk back with the cast. It might be a full-on engagement activity with the teaching artists that we bring in, just to make it a much more well-rounded experience while they're here with us at DSM. And then last but not least, our High School Musical Theater Awards, which is entering its 10th year, celebrating its 10th anniversary in a pandemic year, which is unique in itself. But again, working with up to 75 schools, not just in Texas, but also multi-state. So this year we have a school from Louisiana involved, a school from Arkansas involved, which just shows kind of the breadth and depth that DSM will go to ensure that we provide arts access to whoever needs it. So we're really, really proud of the program and the reach of that program. And then, as Ken mentioned as well, really putting a focus on our South Dallas neighbors. We live in the heart at the Music Hall of Fair Park, South Dallas. So we really focused our programs and what we do in education and community partnerships on these 5 zip codes that you see to ensure that we are always being the best neighbors we can to those who are living directly around us in those 5 zip codes. Now, again, this does not mean that our programs are limited to these 5 zip codes, because overall we work in over 100 different zip codes across the state and across the region, but primarily our work focuses on these 5 zip codes in South Dallas Fair Park. So what have we been doing since the COVID-19 pandemic occurred back in March and our stages went dark? So our team at DSM, and especially in education community partnerships, did a really quick pivot into virtual programming to ensure, again, that spirit of Broadway lived on in the programming that we did. So there's just a few examples of what we were able to accomplish. So our 9th annual High School Musical Theater Awards went completely virtual. So we had actually started planning that program back in October and really hoping to get as much leadway in. And then once March happened, we had about 2 months to pivot from what we thought was going to be a 3,400 person in-person event to a completely virtual event. And we're able to do that and post that on our YouTube channel, and we're really proud of that. And that's available for you all to see if you want to go to our YouTube channel and check that out. Also providing virtual masterclasses to our students to ensure that they stay engaged with topics such as directing, stage management, vocal technique, different acting techniques, anything that the students might be interested in or that our instructors might find useful to infuse into their curriculums and into lesson plans. We've been really responsive for that in creating virtual masterclasses for them. And then as far as video series, we have a whole slew of a series called What Do You Do with the BA in Theater, really discussing, if a student decides to go and pursue a BA in theater, how do those skills transfer into other areas and into other career paths? Because we know that the skills you learn in the arts are transferable to all different types of career paths. So a lot of interviews with industry professionals, both locally, regionally, and nationally, of how they've transferred those skills into their other careers that they may have chosen to go towards. A series I'm very proud of called Black Art Matters, which is a weekly series that's still ongoing, where I sit down with a Black artist every week and talk about what does it mean to be a Black creative here in Dallas, and how does the industry support Black artists to ensure that they have an equitable voice into the work that is being created on Broadway and in touring shows. And then of course, DSM Smiles, which is meant just to put a smile on our faces during this time and ensure that we keep going and we keep that spirit of Broadway alive. And all of these virtual offerings are completely free of charge to our communities, including all of you on this call, and are available right now on our YouTube page at DS Musicals that you're welcome to check out for free. And then also, as Ken mentioned, the area we sit in has historically been underserved, both in regards to arts access, but also in regards to social services. So I'm very proud of a program called DSM Cares that we implemented here at Dallas Center Musicals, in which our board, our staff, our donors, our community members all kind of come together and volunteer on a weekly basis at City Square, which is also located in the heart of South Dallas, providing much needed food assistance to our food insecure neighbors in South Dallas. We started this program back in October of 2019, and then have continued it on. We were doing once a month, and then once the pandemic hit, up to once a week. And I'm very proud to say that through our work with City Square and our partnership with them, we've sent over 40 volunteers to their food pantry to help out, equating to over 600 volunteer hours, which also means that we've been able to feed more than 6,000 food insecure families in the South Dallas Fair Park. We know that we can't, and our neighbors can't enjoy live theater unless they have a solid social service foundation under them. So anything DSM can do to help during this time, we are there, and we are proud to be there. And through all of this service with City Square, we were honored to receive back in April their highest award that they give out to their volunteer partners, which is the City Square President's Award. And very, very proud of that. And the last thing I'll just touch on is a brand new initiative that you may have seen in the news last Tuesday. This is a brand new partnership with the Dallas Independent School District, in which we are bringing high quality professional development opportunities to the district's educators that focuses on increasing cultural intelligence in the classroom. as well as providing increased master classes to those students. And then also just being responsive to what the district may need on an education level for their students in this time of COVID. So it's a brand new partnership that we are just now kind of in and releasing and launching, and so much more to grow from there. And so proud to be a part of that partnership. So that's what we have been doing here, this small amount that we've been doing here in education and community partnerships. And with that, I will turn it back over to Ken.
Thank you, Devon. Boy, it's just so impressive what that department has accomplished in such a short period of time. Just remarkable. The programs are growing and expanding all the time. You hear that sort of overused word pivot a lot in business these days, but this is what this department did. They shifted. You know, theater. Well, probably everybody on this call is a theater person. You know, theater people don't sit still. You know, the show must go on in one way or another, and this department has just taken that on and are doing things in the community that are theater related and things that are supporting our communities near us, and it's really amazing. So thank you, Devon, for that and that report, and I hope that you all appreciate the work that that department is doing. It makes us feel good that we can do good in the community. So I'd like to take some questions. I'm going to just see if I can scroll through here and look at some of the chat questions, and maybe I can answer some of these for you. Okay, here we go. Is the money I spent on my tickets safe? Good question. Well, 100% yes. If we ever cancel a show or make a change, we will always provide you with an option of a credit, a donation, a refund. In most cases, the shows are postponed, so your money will just be held and used when the show comes back. So yes, your money that you spend on your tickets is absolutely safe with DSM. Let's see here. Do I need to do anything about a rescheduled show? Well, actually, you don't. We'll take care of those details. When we reschedule a show, we will hold everybody's seat for you. So we'll have your seat in place. And well before the show comes back, you'll have an opportunity to exchange into a different performance if you need to, because the dates are different. And we'll tailor the experience for you when the shows come back to suit your needs and your experiences. So nothing to worry about on rescheduled shows. You'll hear from us, and we'll take care of those details for you. Let's see. There's looks like a whole bunch of questions about social distancing. Yeah, great topic, and I'm glad to see folks are curious about that. So there's been a lot of talk about, can Broadway come back if we just put less people in the theater? If we have everybody sit 6 feet apart or 10 feet apart, or and you see it now happening in sports where the people are sitting farther away from each other. The challenge that we have, and that we've learned from our producing friends like Sue Frost and others, is that the Broadway economic model is built on the idea that they can sell tickets to a full house. So if a tour comes out on the road, and you heard about how complicated the tours are, if a tour comes out on the road and they spend the millions of dollars that are necessary to build the show, create the show, rehearse the show, put it on the trucks, set up these markets, the economic model just doesn't work unless they can play to full capacity. So the producers are not going to be willing to take a large financial loss, which then impacts their investors, to come play to less than 100% capacity. So unfortunately for Broadway, less than 100% capacity is not possible, which means we can't social distance in the theater. And so we're kind of stuck waiting for the time when we can. Although I will say that some of the things that we're doing with our virtual series and our concerts, like the Women of Broadway that's coming up with the next one on Saturday night, it doesn't take the place of the live experience, but it just gives you an opportunity to have some experience with Broadway. So I would encourage you to look into those things. Let's see here. What else do we have? Some people are asking about some questions about discomfort coming back. Can I skip a season? Well, Yeah, I suppose so. I guess what I would say to that is be patient. I know it's tough. It's tough for all of us too. You know, it feels like this is going on forever and ever and ever. I always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. But hang on. When we get closer to shows, we will communicate with you. We'll let you know what's going on. You know that your ticket value is safe, and hopefully that will get us to a place where when we do announce that we're coming back, you'll feel, okay, I feel safe now. And I don't know when that's going to be. I guess nobody knows when that's going to be. There's so many variables in there. But please know that we're taking care of your investment in what you're doing with DSM. Masks. I see lots of questions about masks. Yes, so I can tell you right now that for those of us that go into the music hall for work, and for any of the workers that are coming into the music hall to work on the lighting and all the things that you saw in the pictures that Joseph shared, right now, no one can go in the building without a mask. A mask is absolutely required, and that's the way that we've set it up. And what we're going to do is we're just going to continue to follow government recommendations and guidelines. And so I suppose the answer to the question is probably, perhaps, maybe. It depends on where we are with the virus and what we're allowed to do. But we are going to follow CDC recommendations when it comes to that. So let's see what else we have. If COVID numbers decrease, will the start date move up? Well, probably unlikely that we'll be able to move the start date up much sooner. I mean, right now you've seen that we've canceled shows for about half the season. We're hoping that we can reopen when we've announced. The problem is that if the numbers start to decrease and things start to open up and become safe to be in the theater again, it takes a little while for the shows to prep themselves to come on tour, re-rehearsing shows that are already out, completing and building shows that are right now on hold. And then also, of course, prep time for the building ourselves. We need to make sure that all of our ushers and all of our ticket takers, all of our people that work in the restaurants and what have you, are prepared to deal with crowds coming in again. So I think that if you see decreasing numbers in COVID cases, it may not necessarily mean that we're going to move a lot faster, but we're certainly going to move as quickly as we can in terms of taking care of all the necessary requirements for reopening the building. Let me just look at one more here. What else can we do to speed up reopening? Well, you know, I suppose it's the same for all of us. You know, I suppose it's, let's all be safe. Let's follow CDC guidelines. And the more of that we do, the sooner we're all going to be able to get together again. Hopefully that'll be sooner than later. So I just want to wrap up with a couple thoughts. You know, we've provided some insights for you on behind the scenes logistics, what's required to welcome everybody back into the theater again. We want to open as soon as we possibly can. We really miss this experience of seeing live shows. We miss the experience of seeing live shows with you. And all of the people that depend on Broadway for their livelihoods, we're anxious for those folks to get back to work as well. Actors, musicians, stagehands, ushers, box office staff, all of the wonderful restaurants, hotels, parking garages. I know that all these folks want to get back to work, providing great service to you, but it's unfortunate. You know, we're going to have to wait until we can present live theater in a way that's safe for our audiences and our cast and our crew. And as I mentioned earlier, safety is our top priority. And it's unfortunate because the theater does not allow for social distancing, particularly Broadway. So we're going to do our best. It's financially risky in this business. And so we really need to take the opportunity to sell all of our seats as we have in the past to make this work. And I'm happy to say that with the changes that we've had right now, we've really had very little fall off from our subscribers and those people that are part of our audience. Folks really want to come back to Broadway, and they're comfortable saying, hang on to my investment that I made with you. We're with you, and we will stick with you until shows come back. And honestly, that's really what keeps us going. I've said it before. So primarily, the most important thing is having the experience of the interaction among audience members with each other and with those of us that are there and with the actors on stage. The energy in the theater is just not the same without a full house in that building. And I guarantee you, we are going to be back. I feel very comfortable with our board of directors, with the way we've managed DSM in recent years. I think we're in a financial position where we're going to be strong, and we're going to be strong when we return. And so I'm just asking you now, just to be patient with us. We're working on it. We think about it every day. We think about what it's going to feel like again when Broadway's back, when we can walk through our theaters again, see the new carpets and the new lighting, and have the curtain go up and see Almost Famous, or the shows that are coming up and that we've had to move out to other dates. So we are very anticipatory for what's coming next. And we are deeply, deeply appreciative of your willingness to be flexible, your willingness to stick with us, for you joining us tonight for this call, which says so much to us. I mean, me, the staff that you've heard from tonight, it means everything to us that you're here and interested in what we're doing and where we're going. We are on our journey back to Broadway. That's what I'm calling it now, our journey back to Broadway. I can tell you, it will be worth the wait. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope that you learned a few things, and I hope that you continue with your excitement for coming back to DSM when the time is right.